They're not trying to make you...
I have no comment.
I
don't want to have to tell you again. This is Apex Company property and you're trespassing.
But Mr. Devano, we need to ask you about the injury.
I'm telling you for the last time, you're on company property. I want you to get the hell out of here.
This kind of thing really happens, and not because company people hate the media either. It happens because management hasn't worked out a media plan and is preoccupied with all the other details that need their attention during the emergency. Devano's big mistake was in not having a simple, brief statement prepared concerning the accident. He should have known reporters would be there. If he says, nothing has happened here, there's nothing to see, his company's credibility takes a nosedive. Never lie to the media. You'll simply look foolish when your lie is discovered. Technically, Devano was right when he pointed out that the reporters were on Apex Company property, and he had a legal right to order them to leave. But you can see that it gives the appearance that Apex is hiding something, when that wasn't the case at all. You simply can't push the media away, so it's better not even to try. Even if you order reporters off your property, they can still keep everything they filmed going in and everything they filmed going out, including your outburst, and that alone would be enough for a provocative news story. Which brings us to Devano's major mistake. He lost his composure. Devano's outburst may be the only impression the public ever gets of the Apex Company. We've covered a lot of ground here, so let's put it all together and see how the same situation might have played out if Apex had had a plan. How would things have turned out if Virgil Hale had known how to avoid an interview and Devano had known how to handle one?
Over here by the gate, we can get him. You were inside when this happened, sir?
Yes, I'm a plant operator, but I think you need to talk to Joe Devano, our plant manager. He's right over there. Joe!
Can you tell us what happened?
I'm really not the one you should talk to. Let me get Joe. Joe, come here, please.
Hello, I'm Joe Devano,
Mr.
the plant
Devano,
manager.
do you have
Mr. Devano,
First, let me tell you what we know right now. A boiler in our number 3 unit ruptured this morning, about an hour ago, and 2 of our employees were injured. They've been taken to County Memorial Hospital. Both men were talking as they were taken away, but we don't have an exact report on their injuries yet. The names will be released by the hospital as soon as their families have been notified. The number 3 unit is where we generate steam for some of our processes. The unit has been shut down. There's no danger now, but the area is closed off so we can investigate and find out exactly why the accident happened. I've got to get back there right now. I'm sure you can understand things are a little hectic just now. Please stay if you like. I'll have my secretary get some coffee for you. There are telephones you can use. I appreciate your patience, and I'll try to get back here and talk to you again in about 20 minutes.
Mr. Devano, do you know what could have caused this?
No, but we're investigating, and we'll find out. Now, if you'll please excuse me, I better get back to work.
Mr. Devano, are there any more? Has there ever been
faster?
anything like this that has occurred before, sir?
Mr. Devano.
Jan, the loud explosion that shook the Apex plant this morning was caused by a ruptured boiler in the plant's number 3 unit. 2 people were hurt, and they're on their way to County Memorial Hospital at this time. I'm standing now with Mr. Joe Devano, the plant manager. Mr. Devano, do you have any idea what caused that boiler to rupture?
It's really too early to tell. We have an investigating team on it right now.
Has anything like this ever occurred before?
As a matter of fact, this plant had gone 26 months without a lost time accident. You can imagine we hate to see something like this happen, especially because of our 2 guys who were hurt. I'm going to run over to the hospital and see them as soon as I can break free here.
What condition was the boiler in before the accident?
We've got a regular inspection schedule for all our equipment, and the boiler is checked pretty closely. From everything we can tell so far, it tested fine every time. That's why we're anxious to find out exactly what happened.
Can you offer a guess as to what might have occurred?
No, I wouldn't want to speculate.
Well, judging from the amount of damage done, what would have happened if the full crew had been working near the boiler when it ruptured?
That's a hypothetical situation, and I really couldn't speculate.
Any estimate on the financial damage that was done?
Not really, no. What we're most concerned with is the 2 guys who were hurt and getting them back on their feet soon.
Jan, that's the situation here. Back to you and Ted.
Well, that story presents a much more favorable view of Apex, and the only difference was in the way Apex handled themselves. They were helpful, but Devano stayed out of trouble by sticking to the facts related to what was happening then and there. Let's take a closer look at that interview.
You were inside when this happened, sir?
Yes, I'm a plant operator, but I think you need to talk to Joe Devano, our plant manager. He's right over there.
Let's say that Apex had decided to keep their media contact to an absolute minimum. The only way this will work is if Devano can convince the reporters that he's not hiding anything and isn't afraid of them. He's got to be helpful, at least to some extent, and give a solid reason for not doing the interview. Let's see how it works.
Mr. Devano, do you have any idea what may have caused the accident?
Sorry, folks. We can't comment on this right now because we just don't have enough information yet. You need to direct your questions to the sheriff's department. That's him right over there. I'm sorry, but our company policy prohibits interviews. You can also call our head office. Here's their number. Now, in the meantime, I'm really sorry, but I've got to ask you to please remain outside the plant gate. This is a restricted area, and our safety regulations don't allow non-employees onto the plant site. I appreciate your understanding. Now, I've got to get back to work. Please hold your questions, and the sheriff's department will help you.
Sir, can you tell us anything?
You can use a similar approach when you first arrive at the scene of an incident in order to buy a little time. Simply point out to the reporters that you don't have any facts yet, but that you'll be glad to return in 10 minutes or so to tell them what you can. This gives you time to collect your thoughts and assemble the information you need. It's a good technique for buying some time, but remember, if you say you'll be back in 10 minutes, be back in 10 minutes. Never forget that you are in charge. Be firm but polite and professional at all times. And always try to guide the reporters to some other source of information. It'll make you seem more helpful and at the same time will steer the reporters away from you toward someone with more time and training. It's all right to use notes in an interview, but try to avoid reading a statement. And whatever you do, don't say, "I have a statement to make." Presidents and public affairs spokespersons make statements. You should start out by saying, "Let me just tell you what I know." A few basic rules of media relations will help keep you out of trouble. Make sure you have a plan for working with the news media during an emergency, and make sure everyone in the company knows what it is. Have a spokesperson and a backup for each shift. Be sure only one person's doing the talking, and that employees and reporters know who that person is. Everyone should know how to guide reporters to the right spokesperson. That helps reduce the risk of someone giving an off-the-cuff interview. Remind everyone that anything they say to a reporter can wind up in a news story. And don't try to push the media away. It won't work. Remember that they represent the community, and the community has a right to know what's going on. You can tell them as long as you stick to the facts. Many companies have had extremely good results by reaching out a little and becoming more active in their media relations efforts. One technique is to contact reporters over a period of time and invite them out for an escorted visit to your facility as guests. Provide each reporter with day and night telephone numbers for someone they can contact for answers to questions about your industry or about your company in particular. The numbers may never be used, but the fact that you offered them will never be forgotten. And a final word about reporters. It should be obvious from what we've said in this program, and in what you've seen on your own, that reporters and company people come from two different camps and usually have two entirely different agendas. You'd like to see a nice story written about your company, and they're looking for a sexy, violent, controversial, emotional, and sensational story that'll appeal to a big audience. But with only the rarest of exceptions, reporters are not out to get you or your company. They're after a story, and you're just a part of that story. Don't blame them for asking the questions they do, because it's not the questions that get you into trouble. It's your answers to them. You'll find more information on the do's and don'ts of media relations in the manual that accompanies this videotape. Let us know if you need more copies. And thanks for watching.